This is KCBD News Channel 11 at 6.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Christy is in for Karen, who is off tonight.
We continue to follow developing news this evening after 3 people were injured in an explosion at the Minsa cornflower plant in Bailey County. The Minsa plant is southeast of Muleshoe on U.S. Highway 84. Now, if you're not familiar with that area, the plant is about 2 miles from the Bailey County Courthouse.
We have team coverage tonight. KCBD News Channel 11's Ashlyn Tubbs is live at UMC with the latest on those injured, and investigative reporter Shaylee Sanders is digging deeper into the company's safety record. But first, Gloria De Leon joins us from Muleshoe with details on the explosion. Gloria?
Christy and Abner, it looks a lot calmer now, but emergency responders were called here at the Minsa plant right outside of Muleshoe due to an explosion at 8:18 this morning. A water tank exploded in the northwest portion of the plant. That's when Bailey County Sheriff Richard Wills says a 911 call was made by the Minsa Corporation. He says he and Bailey County EMS, along with Muleshoe's police and fire departments, arrived at the scene. After assessing the situation, he confirms that 3 people were injured. 2 are in critical condition and were transported by AeroCare to UMC here in Lubbock, while the other was taken to a hospital in the Muleshoe area. The cause of the explosion is currently unknown, but while on the scene, OSHA arrived to conduct their investigation. Will says the water tank is about 40 feet long and about 15 feet in diameter. He says the plant was evacuated after the explosion and the gas and electricity were also shut off as a safety precaution. The damage was isolated to inside the plant where that tank is located. Now, we'll continue to follow this story and keep you updated on air and online at kcbd.com. Christine Abner.
Thank you, Gloria. We're also working to learn more about the victims in this explosion. 2 of them were flown here to UMC in Lubbock. That's about a 70-mile trip.
We continue our team coverage with KCBD News Channel 11's Ashlyn Tubbs. She's live from UMC with the very latest. Ashlyn.
Well, Christine Abner, authorities have not released the names of the 2 victims rushed here to UMC after the explosion, but we've been in contact with the aunt of one of the victims. She tells us that both men are in stable condition at this time. She says her nephew is going to require surgery. He's going to need facial reconstruction after the blast. She also tells us that the 3rd victim that was taken to a local hospital is doing fine as well. He just suffered a cut to his face. And so right now the family's just really coming together at this hospital to support each other during what's been a tragic day so far. We hope to catch up with them later today. We'll have those details on air and online at kcbd.com. Christine Abner.
Okay, thanks, Ashlyn. We've learned that OSHA warned this mill about exposing its 75 workers to explosion and electric shock hazards just earlier this year.
KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaylee Sanders joins us now with more on this company's history with OSHA. Shaylee?
Yeah, that's right, Christine Abner. In January, OSHA cited Minsa Corporation for 33 serious violations with a proposed penalty totaling more than $150,000. According to OSHA, a serious violation occurs when there is, quote, substantial probability that death or serious physical harm could result from a hazard. In January, federal inspectors warned that grain dust accumulation in the right combination of particle size, air, and an ignition source can expose workers to possible explosions or combustible dust hazards. We have also learned this isn't the first time the mill has faced serious violations. According to OSHA documents, federal investigators cited them with multiple serious violations back in 2008. Now, to learn more about each one of these violations and the penalties, just log on to kcbd.com. Christy?
Okay, thanks, Shaylee. Here's a closer look at where the Minsa Corporation operates. We've pulled up this map from the company's website. You can see there is one location here in Muleshoe. There are only 2 here in the United States in total. The other is over here in Iowa. There are several that are operated down here in Mexico as well. Now, those who have the KCBD mobile app were the first to learn about this explosion at the plant this morning. If you don't have it, it's free and easy to download. Just search KCBD in your app store.
We have a traffic watch for drivers near Coronado High School. The city will install 2 traffic signals with a flashing yellow turn signal tomorrow. The new signals will be located on 34th Street, at 29th Drive, and at Utica. The flashing yellow arrow means that traffic is allowed to turn left but must yield to oncoming traffic. You'll remember the city installed the first one at 34th and Quaker in December, and last month TxDOT installed 2 more along Highway 87 at the intersections of 82nd and 98th.
Turning to our weather now, it looks like clear skies and warm afternoons will continue for much of the South Plains.
John joins us from the First Alert Forecast Center with details. John?
Well, Christine Abner, things haven't changed a lot the last 24 hours. It was warm again in Lubbock today, 72 degrees in our city. Clouds began to pop up mid-afternoon. We've actually had a few sprinkles pop up as well. Super Doppler shows just a small area of rain initially from Lubbock all the way down to Seminole. About all that's left now extends from Levelland near Plains, Denver City, back into southeast New Mexico. But you can see the trend. It is weakening. It is drifting off generally to the west. Present temperatures around the South Plains. These will be your Texas Tech Mesonet sites. Show readings still very warm for the area. We have 60s to our north, 70s down to the south and southeast if we look at those temperatures. And that means temperatures obviously have been above normal, about 5 to 6 degrees. Let's try the temperatures. If not, we'll continue to look. There we go. Temperature 71 in Paducah, 66 Plains, Denver City, 68 in Lamesa. As far as the forecast pattern, overnight some patchy fog will develop again around portions of the South Plains, allow for low visibilities. 38 degrees to begin your Thursday morning. The afternoon, a few clouds, plenty of sunshine, and again near 70 degrees, a light southeasterly wind tomorrow. Christine Abner.
Okay, thanks so much, John. Breaking news right now coming into the newsroom on the investigation into Sunday's deadly hit and run. The man accused of hitting Reynaldo Rincon is now in custody. Authorities booked Anthony Acosta into the Lubbock County Detention Center just before 5 o'clock this evening. He is currently charged with failure to stop and render aid.
The University of Texas is looking into whether students at their Sigma Alpha Epsilon chapter used a racist chant similar to the SAE members used at the University of Oklahoma in a video. Meanwhile, UT President Bill Powers says the incident at OU has renewed questions about UT's handling of an incident involving another fraternity, Phi Gamma Delta.
I'm a part of a very diverse fraternity too. We have people of all different kinds of backgrounds, and so I mean we don't mess around with racist stuff like that, no.
The Dean of Students has worked with several fraternity members, which Powers called a positive start, but he says work still remains. Meanwhile, in Dallas, a protest is planned outside the home of a former University of Oklahoma frat member who was in that video. A peaceful protest is planned tonight outside the home of Parker Rice. Rice has released a statement saying, "I am deeply sorry for what I did Saturday night. It was wrong and reckless."
New at 6, city leaders in Austin laid out their plan to keep 200,000 South by Southwest attendees safe this year. The efforts include more street barricades and bringing additional TABC agents to town. Police will also enforce a no refusal initiative for DWIs during the second weekend of the festival. City leaders already limited the number of vendor permits. This year's event starts on Friday and ends on March 22nd. City officials hope the changes will help keep people safe from any suspected drunk drivers. Now, you may remember last year at South by Southwest, police said Rashad Owens was driving drunk when he plowed through a barricade and hit a crowd. 4 people died and more than 20 others were injured. Owens was indicted last summer. His case is expected to go to trial by the end of this year.
Coming up next, the search for answers has led researchers at Texas Tech to feedlots across the South Plains. And your health is at the center of that study.
You're watching KCBD News Channel 11 at 6.
A local team of researchers is looking into the overuse of antibiotics in animal agriculture. Their study has spawned the discovery of a strange phenomenon.
And now Texas Tech's Institute of Environmental and Human Health is looking into how this could impact your health. KCBD News Channel 11's Patricia Villasin joins us now with more on their findings. Patricia.
Christy and Abner, there are about 200 feedlots that are home to thousands of cattle in the southern High Plains, and that team of researchers collected air samples from different feedlots in our area and discovered an interesting strain of bacteria.
In that circle, approximately 30% of all beef cattle in the United States.
And Lubbock is right at the epicenter.
Recenter right here, just to the west of us, a few miles, is a feed yard.
Of something beyond its high cattle population.
This is the first time, to our knowledge, that this trifecta of antibiotic resistance has been discovered in the air.
That's why Philip Smith and his team have been conducting their research for about 7 years. They pinned down the strain of bacteria's source.
There's no question antibiotics are used extensively as growth promoters and for treatment of disease in animal agriculture.
But with the high frequency of winds we get here in the South Plains,
that's not a smiley face, that's a contour of the highest frequency of dusty days.
they are still trying to determine how fast it can travel into the environment.
The smaller particles would tend to stay suspended in the air for a longer period of time and therefore would be able to travel much greater distances.
And how it could impact human health.
That doesn't mean that humans are necessarily at risk. So our next step is to determine how far these particulates may move and then what happens when they settle out.
Despite what he has learned from his research, Smith doesn't fault farmers and producers' manner of raising cattle.
I love a great steak, I love a hamburger, and I know a lot of people do. And we all want good, healthy food choices, but we also want good prices.
And Smith says there isn't any information in his study that would be a cause for panic and that it's still too early for him and his team to make any leaps in the negative effects associated with bacteria. He also hopes his study will promote good stewardship for the use of antibiotics in agriculture. Christine Abner.
Thank you, Patricia. Now stay with us. John's up next with a complete look at his first alert forecast as he looks ahead to the weekend.
Forecast with Chief Meteorologist John Robison.
You can mark down another beautiful day on the South Plains. A few clouds popped up. Temperature right now at News Channel 11. Still warm outside. We've got a couple of hours of pleasant temperatures ahead as we look at the instant data. And here in Lubbock officially today, 72 degrees for your high. We did have a south wind at about 17. Right now those winds are east at just 2 miles an hour. Current temperature sitting at 70 degrees. Humidity coming in at a nice 25%. Now let's check that Doppler radar. Showers became a little numerous again in the same general area as yesterday. Not as much activity, and unfortunately rainfall amounts are not going to be significant at all. Probably sprinkles if anything, but you can see it kind of drifting off to the west. A few have been going northwest, some of them are kind of drifting southwest, but that activity will gradually diminish. We'll be back to fair skies. Then we may have some fog to deal with tomorrow morning, but notice how the clouds are dissipating. It's going to be a beautiful sunset across the region. Overall, while our rain's diminishing, it still continues and will actually increase and begin to move into central Texas later tonight and tomorrow. Look at the cloud cover working its way up in Dallas. Look at the heavy rain along the Texas coast, extending really from Louisiana all the way down to deep south Texas. So if we had warm temperatures, this might be a tropical system to be worried about. About the only thing it'll do for us is push some clouds towards our area. Let's look at here's our forecast pattern. If my computer, there we go, you'll see it showing that system skirting off to the north and northeast as it does. It'll take that precipitation off with it, and by Sunday night we'll be in good shape. We have a little system coming through Friday that may bring a slight chance of showers along with it, and this system may bring us some gusty winds along with some cooler temperatures as we head towards the latter part of next week. But overall, going into spring break and through at least the early part of the week, conditions look pretty good. We're going to check out not raincast, but windcast. Tomorrow morning, look at your winds out of the northwest, just 5, maybe 10 miles an hour during the day. They'll rotate back to the east and northeast, but again, wind speeds will stay less than 10 miles an hour for the region. By the time we roll into Friday, I went that far so you can see how northeasterly winds will pick up Friday afternoon. As a little frontal boundary slides in, it'll cool us down some late Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Could bring some showers, mainly to the western South Plains. That's how it looks at this point. In the morning, 30s Littlefield, back to 40s, Matador down to Snyder. Morning lows very similar to what we had this morning. 30s in Lubbock all the way down to Seminole Plains in Denver City. There'll be some patchy fog tomorrow afternoon, sunshine back. Few clouds in the late afternoon, 69 Littlefield. Still going to be warmer in our north and northeastern areas from 70 to 73 there. Anywhere around 69, maybe 70 basically for all of the South Plains. In terms of your 7-day numbers rolling through, notice tomorrow near 70. It will be a little warmer ahead of the front on Friday, 71 degrees. Saturday, we cool it down a little bit, but overall, Saturday and Sunday look good. Break down your day parts from 8, noon, and 5, from the 30s to the 60s, and then from the 30s to the upper 60s on Sunday. So a little bit of a cool down, a little more cloud cover. Otherwise, we'll be into sunny conditions, and we'll start warming it up again Monday and Tuesday of next week. Christy and Abner, great weather.
John, I don't want to jinx anything, but isn't March usually a windy month?
Typically it is a windy month, and there's information. One gentleman called us, our viewers, yesterday, kind of a wives' tale that if it starts out calm in March, it's going to be a very stormy and severe type spring weather pattern.
Oh.
Yep. Kind of interesting.
Hope he's wrong. Thank you, John. Coming up, a big high school baseball event gets started tomorrow.
And the Red Raiders looked for another home win this afternoon. Pete has the highlights next in sports.
This is News Channel 11 Sports with Pete Christie.
A sportacular Wednesday to you. After coming from behind 3 times last night to win in the 12th, the 13th ranked Red Raider baseball team back on the home diamond this afternoon, looking to complete a 2-game sweep, taking on the Aggies of New Mexico State. Just like last night, though, New Mexico State gets on the board first. Matt Evans singling the left field off of Jonathan Tripp. Lucas Martinez coming around to score, and it is 1-0 Aggies. They're a 1-13 team, but fast forward now. Tech down 4-3. Corey Raley hits one down the first base line. Aggies trying to turn 2. Raley breaks up the double play. Michael Davis comes in from third. We're knotted up at 4-4. Later in the inning, Tech grabs the lead. Quinn Carpenter smoking it. That'll bring home Eric Gutierrez. Tech wins it 7-4. They have now won 28 of 29 at home. They're 45-5 at home over the last 2 years. They head to San Diego State this weekend. Tech softball today in El Paso, taking on the UTEP Miners early on in this one. It's UTEP's Taylor Sargent hitting a shot to short, bobbled, overthrown to first. Talia Wade scores. Here comes Jade Rodriguez. Just like that, 2-0, the Lady Miners in the lead. Red Raiders would answer. Here comes up an error by UTEP. That'll bring home Leah Hobson as the throw goes into the outfield. Hobson alertly gets up, comes in, slides in, and scores. They're down 1, but UTEP takes game 1 of this doubleheader. It has just gone final 5-3. Red Raider basketball in Kansas City tonight for the Big 12 championships. 10th seeded Tech taking on 7th seeded Texas. 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have highlights on the news at 10. Tubby Smith's team showing signs of improvement late in the season. Of course, they beat Oklahoma State senior day, battling back. Now they get another look at the Texas Longhorns, and with the clean slate, Tubby Smith loves that.
Well, absolutely. You know, you have another shot at it's a new season. It's a new opportunity, another chance to make amends for how poorly you played during the season, and to finish on a high note. You know, so that's the attitude I'm taking, and I'm expecting to go in there and compete for a Big 12 tournament championship. You know, that's our sole reason for going to Kansas City.
Extra innings getting to the swing of things now. Tomorrow across the South Plains, it's your chance to see some great baseball. 14th annual First Bank Classic starts 10 a.m. at area parks. 14 teams in the event. Games are going to be at Monterey, Coronado, Estacada, and Lubbock High. Other area teams in the field, Plainview and Cooper. Teams from the Metroplex, El Paso, Odessa, all here for the First Bank Classic. Games are at 10, 1, 4, and 7. With the weather good, teams are going to play 6 games in 3 days.
I think it's good. You know, we're going to play the 2 of the Dallas schools, and then of course we got to play Friendship University again. And you know, it's for us, it's a big test. You know, we've got guys that got to be up there and go out and get outs on the mound, and we got to swing the bats a whole lot better than we've been swinging them. So the new competition and better competition is going to be really good for us.
It's great just to be on the field. I mean, just to go out and practice is great, but now to go out and play 2 games a day for 3 days is awesome. And you know, I just hope the weather holds up. It'll be a great experience.
I beat Pete tonight at 10, taking on the state champion Lubbock Christian Lady Eagles. They just won their 2nd TAPS title in 3 years. So they did it by hitting 3-pointers. So for the challenge, you got 3 shots. You got to make 2 of the 3 3-pointers. You get a point. Blake Brody and I took on the entire state champion team. Beat Pete coming up tonight at 10. In the future, we're taking on Shallowater, Trinity Christian. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Consider This.
And General Manager Dan Johnson.
The snow may be gone, but winter may not be over yet. We could get another blast before we move into spring, but let's hope not, and here's why. If you were like me, you had to brave the snowpacked streets of Lubbock last week. First responders had to jump into action to deal with accidents throughout Lubbock. And get this, there was 1 city plow to deal with it all. Yes, you heard right, 1. A second plow might be in action by now, but it could be too little too late. Consider this. We know that winter weather happens in our area. It's unpredictable. Even more unpredictable was our city's response. On the Friday of our biggest snowstorm, the city plow was at the airport. Did we forget the people live in the city? We drive to work, we drive to school, we shuttle our kids around town. Not all of us have the luxury of taking a snow day. The city of Lubbock needs to be prepared for events like this and remember that snow, just like severe weather, happens on the South Plains. Unfortunately, the city didn't help residents navigate one of the worst stretches of snow we've had in a long time. And as I have said before, public safety should be their top priority.
Let us know what you think. Email Dan Jackson at considerthis@kcbd.com and click on the Consider This tab to see previous commentaries at kcbd.com.
Another nice evening.
It looks nice this evening. Most of our sprinkles are gone. 7-day numbers show back in the 70s tomorrow, around 70 for a high, low 70s Friday, and then a little bit cooler rolling into the weekend. A little cloud cover, but enough sunshine to make it nice.
Good. Thank you, John. That's our report. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here at 10.
Have a wonderful evening.